want to remind folks that we will be having our art show in September. And I will, along with Laura, our wonderful librarian's help, I will be circulating again the sheet that you can sign up on if you are interested in showing your artwork at our show. We have not established the exact criteria yet. We're going to wait a couple of weeks to see how many people sign up to show before we decide stipulations like size and how many pieces you may show. So it's still very open. We don't have a theme for the show yet. We may not have one. It may be very open as far as theme goes. So please think about showing your work. It is an important part of the process of making and sharing and showing your work. Showing your work is a great way to get feedback and suggestions and ideas about what you do. And you're also going to be able to sell your work. And I'm going to talk more about that in a class we're going to have in August. It will be a double class, morning and afternoon, talking about how to display your work, promote your work, hang your work, and sell your work. Yes, Laura wants to.
17 people already signed up.
Awesome.
Usually our festivals have about 500 to 600 people that attend that day. And what else can I say? Oh, and then on August 21st, the day you're doing, you're going to have 2 classes, one in the morning and one in the afternoon.
Yes.
Get ready for the show.
Right. So it's going to be a day of our double class. If you miss the morning session in how to promote and sell and show your work, it will be repeated in the afternoon. Also, today is a double class. That's my final announcement before we begin. Today we go from 10 to 12. Then there will be a lunch break. And then we'll have our afternoon class from 1 to 3. So those of you who start a project in the morning, if you don't get a chance to finish, you will be able to leave your work right where you are. Those of you working here in the library, you can leave it right where you're sitting and come back to it in the afternoon. All right, any questions about those 2 things before we move on? Folks at home, you can always email me about your interest in being in the art show, and I will put you on the list. Many of you at home are already on the list, but if you have not signed up yet, you still have time to do so. All right. Today, our artist is a French-American artist named Louise Bourgeois. Those of you who are veteran students of mine, we have discussed Bourgeois in the past. I'm repeating her because I think she's such an influential artist that she bears looking at again. She was born December 25th, 1911, and she's best known for her large-scale sculpture and installation, but she was also a painter and printmaker. She worked on lots of different themes over the years of her very long career, and most of them were about female things, feminine things, and femininity. She did not call herself a feminist artist, but it's very difficult to separate her work from the feminist movement. So some of her themes were about domesticity and women's work, about family, sexuality, the female body, as well as death and the unconscious. And a lot of these ideas, concepts, and themes were linked to a troubled childhood that she had. When she was growing up, she had an English tutor, a woman who lived with them. And her father, when her mother was very ill with influenza, her father had a long-term affair with this woman, And Louise knew about it. She, in fact, walked in on her father with this woman when they were involved in, shall I say, romantic activity. And this affected Louise negatively, as one might expect, for the rest of her life. She never forgave her father. He became for her a symbol of oppression and captivity and male dominance. And even though she went on in her own life to marry and have her own children, this theme of male dominance and objectification of women and oppression of women was a big deal for her in her work. And you're going to see that. So we're going to start looking at a slideshow of her work. And it's going to be fairly obvious, even I think in the first slide of her work. And forgive me, everyone. This is my season for allergy, and it is affecting my voice. I know it must be annoying. I've got a lot of water here. I'm going to keep drinking. Folks at home, if you could verbally let me know, can you see the first slide?
Yes.
Someone, thank you. All right, so here we go with the slides. She was the middle child of 3. Her family ran a business where they repaired antique tapestries, and they owned a gallery where they displayed these tapestries. A few years after her birth, when they had originally been living in Paris, they moved out of Paris to do tapestry restoration in another village, Choisy-le-Roi. And Bourgeois was given the job of repairing parts of the tapestries, the lower parts of the tapestries that she could reach because she was little. And from that point on, she fell in love with fabric and sewing and stitching. And she became a master of working with fabric and sewing. In 1930, she entered the Sorbonne, the famous Paris University, and she studied mathematics and geometry. And she loved these 2 subjects because she felt they gave her stability and control. Oh dear. All right, everyone cover your ears because sometimes the connector of my laptop makes a terrible sound. Sorry about that. I did warn you. So sorry, folks at home. This is a problem with my laptop. Here we go. And we've jumped ahead in the slideshow. So the connector on my laptop is faulty. Sorry about that. Yes, it's the connector on my laptop. There's some kind of short in it. So I'm going to go through the slideshow and start again. So I'm going to whip through these really fast. Sorry, everyone. We're going to start again. Hopefully that will not happen again. I somehow touched it when I got my water bottle, but I've moved my water bottle out of the way. Yikes, that hurt, right? All right, here we go. So she went to the Sorbonne, she studied mathematics. She loved mathematics because she felt it gave her stability. And quote unquote, she said, I got peace of mind only through the study of rules nobody could change. in 1932, her mother died. And for some reason, that opened her mind to art, and she began studying art. She met Fernand Léger, another artist we have studied, and he told her that she was a sculptor and not a painter. And she started doing sculpture. She went and studied art at the École des Beaux-Arts and the École du Louvre. And she opened a print shop next door to her father's tapestry gallery. And there she met a visiting American art professor named Robert Goldwater. They married, moved to the United States, where he taught at NYU. They had 3 sons, one of whom was adopted, and their marriage lasted until Goldwater's death in 1973. She settled in New York City with him in 1938, and she continued her education at the Art Students League, where she studied painting, sculpture, and printmaking. Throughout her life, Bourgeois' work was created from revisiting her own troubled past, like I mentioned, and she found inspiration and temporary catharsis from her childhood years and the abuse she felt she suffered from her father. And she slowly developed artistic confidence. So you can see, looking at this image, her concerns and focus on the female body. She had a connection or an idea that architecture and female bodies were connected. The idea that the female body is a house with many rooms was not a new idea to her. In fact, in many cultures, excuse me, the female body is often thought of in that way. Maybe it's because usually we are the domestic person. We clean the house. We care for the people within the home. We are often associated with the house and care and keeping of the house. And she had that connection, that association, that belief that she showed in her work. She loved architecture as well. In 1954, she joined the American Abstract Artists Group and became friends with other famous abstract expressionists, Barnett Newman, Willem de Kooning, Mark Rothko, and Jackson Pollock, other artists that we've spoken of before. Her conflicts in real life empowered her to authenticate her experiences and struggles through art. Yes. And in 1958, Bourgeois and her husband moved into a terraced house at West 20th Street in Chelsea, in Manhattan, and she lived and worked there for the rest of her life. And she fought against being a feminist. But look at this print by Louise Bourgeois. It's definitely, I think, about the female form. In her later life, she started teaching at Pratt Institute, Cooper Union, and Brooklyn College in New York City, and also the New York Studio School of Drawing, Painting, and Sculpture. From 1974 until 77, Bourgeois worked at the School of Visual Arts in New York, where she taught printmaking and sculpture. She also taught for many years in the public schools in Great Neck, Long Island. So she did a lot of things. She didn't have her first big show until 1982 at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. Up until then, she'd been kind of a side figure in the world of art, and the MoMA show in 1982 really put her on the map. They wrote about her work in Art Forum. Art Forum is a very important art magazine. And she became quite famous. Hi, come on in. Okay. And in the Art Forum magazine, this was when she first shared with the world that she was kind of obsessive about reliving her art through the trauma of her childhood and the relationship of her father with her English governess.
Liz, yeah, is that
John.
it looks like a marble skull.
Yes, so this is, I was about to talk about it. Thank you, John, for the segue. This is a marble sculpture by Louise Bourgeois. Again, this whole idea that the female form is associated with the house. Very prevalent in her work. You will see over and over again this connection between architecture and the female body. So she was primarily a sculptor, even though she did do paintings and printmaking.
Liz,
Yes, sir. Anybody can ask questions, folks. Just repeating that. You can ask questions, you can make comments. Go ahead, John.
what I feel and think about sculpture, knowing that this was a block of marble,
Mhm.
and out of that block of marble, the artist saw a vision within the marble, and to be able to sculpt what is inside of that block is phenomenal.
It takes a lot of skill to create a carved marble sculpture. And folks, I can tell you from personal experience, I have carved marble. It's very, very, very difficult.
Totally many
Chisels, lots of different chisels.
examples.
Yes. And all different kinds of sanding tools. So, yes, and John's point that to be able to envision the form inside a solid block of marble, it's hard. All right, so I want to start moving through the slideshow quickly because we're going to look at her work for inspiration for our own work. When we're done with the slideshow, I have a couple of things that we're going to be doing together so that you can create your own work, as always. In 2010, in the last years of her life, Bourgeois used her art to speak up for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender equality. And she became an activist on behalf of LGBTQ plus equality and created artwork for the AIDS activist organization ACT UP in 1993. She died of heart failure on May 31st, 2010. She worked right up until the moment of her death. So this is a fabric sculpture, stitched and stuffed. She did quite a few of these figures hung from the ceiling. It's interesting that it's red, white, and blue, since we're talking about French-speaking artists and their relationship to the United States in our July classes. I'm not sure why it's red, white, and blue, or why it's striped. I don't know. Could be, or it could be a hand sticking out, Daniel.
No, it's definitely.
Okay. Art is open to interpretation. A lot of her work was about sexuality. Yes.
Not in the middle or belly button.
Yes. Could be.
Graceful.
Graceful. I love its curves. Yes. She often did body parts. This is also a stitched piece. And frequently her work was hung like this from the ceiling. Why do you think it's funny, Eileen? I like that you're laughing. What's tickling your funny bone?
The word starts in the body.
Okay, the hips.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. Sometimes we can't articulate what it is that moves us about art, so that's okay. Definitely female. This one is fabric stitched and stuffed. This one's felt. Her work is about sexuality and relationships. Also, this one is sewn.
Dolls, right, Liz?
These are dolls, which is one of the reasons why I like her work so much. I'm a doll maker, for those of you who don't know or don't remember. I love dolls. I make and collect dolls. Multiple heads on this one. Some of my dolls have multiple heads. I'm not sure what this is about, multiple heads. And even this figure's breasts look like heads. This one's very similar to a ancient European sculpture called the Venus of Willendorf.
That, like outside. Yeah.
It's like a terry cloth fabric, you know, like what bathrobes are made out of. So the woman's breasts are connected to spools of thread. So again, remember, all of her work refers back to her childhood and memories of her childhood and things that she did or participated in or experienced as a child. That what she called the abuse that her father did to her through his relationship with her tutor, her nanny. Okay, so she also did major art about spiders, particularly sculptures. She called her spider work an ode to her mother. She said the spider and her mother were her best friend, and like a spider, her mother was a weaver. So she did many of these spiders. Some of them were enormous and made in bronze. And I'm going to show you those next. This is something she wrote about the spider. My best friend was my mother. She was deliberate, clever, patient, soothing, reasonable, and dainty, subtle, indispensable, neat, and useful as a spider. The spider is a big cultural icon in many cultures and often represents women because they are so diligent and hardworking and protective of their young. So again, another feminist symbol that Bourgeois adopted, even though she claimed she wasn't a feminist. So here's an example of what Bourgeois did with spiders.
Wow.
That's all to make that.
This is a sculpture. These are bronze. Mhm. So she probably made them in clay first, and then they were cast in bronze. Yep. So these are a smaller version of, this is a sketch for a large scale piece that she created, which is, this is only one of a series of giant pieces that she made in bronze. Most of us are terrified of spiders. She was not. She associated the spider with her mother, her best friend. So spiders for her were a good thing. Why do you think? So this sculpture was in Washington, D.C.
Is it permanently there?
No, it is no longer in Washington, D.C. It was part of an exhibit in Washington, D.C. I don't know what year this was, though, Eileen. And you could see the Capitol building through its leg. So there were many all over the world at different places. There was one at the Louvre in Paris. There was one in New York, but I don't remember where. Anybody remember? Was it at the Whitney? I think it was at the Whitney. No?
Hey, Liz, how big
Yeah.
is this? This looks
Huge.
like a gigantic.
They were gigantic. They are gigantic. Where they are now is a good question.
Huh.
Gigantic, like huge, building size. Look at the
I mean,
size
well,
of the
look at the
building.
people, right?
Yeah, yeah. Look at the scale of the people next to the piece. It's enormous.
Just wonder
And
where she had the room to do this.
in a foundry, it was made in
Mm.
parts and then put together at the site. It's not one whole piece. It's made in sections
Yeah.
and probably welded together. That's how large monuments are made. It's not made as one whole piece.
What have spiders coming here this summer, right? Flying spiders?
I did read something about that.
They're venomous.
Thank you for sharing, Eileen. Let's try and keep in mind Louise's positive feelings about spiders. We need spiders. They keep our mosquito population down. All right. So, you know, she was very protective of her mother. She loved her mother because of what was going on between her father and her nanny. So this is her way of paying homage and respect to her mother. It's her way of saying, I love you repeatedly. She has said that in her writings and in interviews, that the spiders were her way of saying over and over again, I love you, to her mother. She said of her father, he was the wolf, and her mother was the rational hare, forgiving and accepting him as he was.
You were thinking about wolves? Did you put any wolves in her art?
I don't know. Why don't you do some research on that for us, Eileen? That's an interesting question. Do some research. Okay, I want to speak just briefly about the architecture thing. Architecture and memory are important components of bourgeois work. In numerous interviews, Louise describes architecture as a visual expression of memory, or memory as a type of architecture. The memory which is featured in much of her work is an invented memory about the death or exorcism of her father. So again, the house connected to the female body is also about exorcising her father and the negative relationship that she had with him. The house connected to the head being the head of the woman in that marble piece is a symbol of how she's trying to get rid of the memory, the negative memory of her father. All right, hands. At the end of her life, now we can erase the spider image if you have to. At the end of her life, she became fascinated with hands. And she did many, many prints and paintings and drawings about hands. This is one of her paintings. And she did these castings of her own hands that became bronze pieces. And some of them are somewhere in New York City. I think maybe Central Park.
I took a photograph of my mother's hands.
Nice. Hands are beautiful things. And we are going to think about and talk about hands because many of you in this class have struggled with drawing hands. So one of our options for class today is going to be working on hands. So I wanted to end the slideshow with Bourgeois' work with hands, not just because she worked on them at the end of her life, but also because I wanted to give everyone an opportunity to do some more work on drawing and looking at hands. So that it will be one of our options for today. So again, Louise Bourgeois' work is powered by confessions, self-portraits, memories, fantasies of a restless being who is seeking through her sculpture an inner peace and an order which were missing throughout her childhood. Art can be used as a self-healing mechanism. And I, as an artist, know that I constantly go back to drawings and styles of drawing that I did as a young child. It's something that I find very soothing. And frequently I see and hear my students, and this has been a constant thing in the 50 years I've been teaching art, I hear folks say, oh, this is what I did as a child. I have to break away from this. And I would invite you to think the reverse. There's nothing wrong with revisiting your childhood memories. It's a great place as a starting point to revisit and reuse some of those ideas and images in your adult work. Look where it led Bourgeois. And here's a quote from her. This may be the last slide. I am not what I am. I am what I do with my hands. I like that. It is the final slide. So I know people here are kind of drifting off. So we are at the time when I'm going to unveil what we're going to do today. I want to focus on hands today, but if you do not want to go that route, your other option today will be to think about a few things. Number one, spiders. I invite you to create an image of spiders. Think about the shape of spiders and create a design or pattern using spiders. Number two, the house and your relationship to a particular room in your house. You can make a picture of things that are within that room that make it an important room for you, or you could do a floor plan drawing of that room as if you were a bird flying over the room, and do a flattened image of what's in that room as a decorative pattern. Any questions? You could also do a picture of things that are evocative of your childhood. If you have a picture on your phone or that you have brought with you, those of you at home, if you have a family picture that you would like to copy, that's an option for today too. But I had a brainwave yesterday when we were working with our model that it would be great if we could look at human hands and practice how to draw hands. So those of you who would like to do that, I've invited John to model for us today. And I'm also going to do a quick slideshow of how to draw human hands. Those of you who don't want to do that, who would like to either do the spider picture or the house or room picture or the picture about your childhood, you can quietly go get your materials now while I do the quick slideshow for those of you who want to draw hands. But wait, Daniel, any questions before we begin? It's a lot of choices today. If you have questions, feel free to ask. So those of you who are here, the materials that are available are all at the back, large and small pieces of paper. There are number 2 regular pencils. There are markers, black Sharpie markers. There are pastels, and there are also Conte crayons. I did not bring paper plates, so I suggest you use paper towel to carry the soft pastels and the Conte crayons. There's also charcoal that you can use. All right. So those of you who want to draw hands, before we get started with our model, John, I want to show you a quick slideshow on how to draw hands. Okay, let's go to work. Oh, first I have to, open the slideshow.
Setting this up over here.
Yes, because he's going to model in a minute. But first, I'm going to do a slideshow, so you don't have to rush to do that, Laura. So, folks, when you're getting your materials, if you could just do it quietly, please, so I can talk about the slideshow. That'd be awesome. But I know a lot of you have been begging me to focus on drawing hands. I did do a class about it last year. I want to revisit that this year because we have John available to us to model. You don't have to do it, but if you want to. All right. Here we go. So first, I'm just going to quickly show some incredible drawings of hands. These are done with pencil. So I don't have the kinds of pencils probably that these folks use. These are HB pencils. Probably I don't have them available for us today, but you can do incredible things with regular 2B pencils. I'm just going to go through the drawings of hands quickly. You can also draw hands in color. And that's why I brought the soft pastels and the Conte crayons. This one was done in pastel, not in pencil. So I did bring pastels for those of you who feel ready to use pastels. But most of these are pencil drawings. Okay, so this image is important because it breaks the human hand into shapes and form. the back of the hand, come on in, is a square. So we may need more chairs. No, we're good. The back of the human hand is a square or a rectangle. Do you see that red square on the back of the hand? And feel free, those of you who are here, you can take a photograph of this if you would like to help you. And then the fingers are broken into cylinders. Does everybody see that? Between the knuckles or the joints of the finger, we have bones. And in this picture, they are represented by cylinders. The first joint is long, and as we go closer to the nail of the finger, the joints get smaller, correct? Everybody see that? Then the other thing to notice is the side of the hand by the thumb. This part of the hand here is really like a pie wedge. Everybody see that? From this knuckle to the wrist to the knuckle at the base of the thumb is like a pie wedge. So if you can think of the hand as shapes and form, just like we do with the human body, when we're drawing the full figure, and I will be around to help, you have won the battle with drawing the human hand. That is your starting point. And you can start with a light pencil outline and then work with shading to create the form. Again, this is a beautiful simplified diagram of the human hand. So the back of the hand is kind of like a rectangle. This part of the hand is like a pie wedge. And then we have knuckles joining the cylinders or the parts of the finger together. Linda, I love how you're looking at your own hand to see the parts. That's terrific. All right, try and absorb this diagram before I move to the next slide. And you can take a photograph of this, those of you who are lucky enough to have phones. It might help you to remember. Okay. Again, this is just another diagram. If you start, see the drawing on the left, with a light pencil sketch and then put in quickly where the joints are in the hand. And then in the third drawing, see how they sketched in the cylinder part of where the bones are between the knuckles. And finally, add the details of the hand and outline the hand. That's the way to go. And the more you draw, the more you practice, the closer you will get to this kind of image. Now, I know those of you who are new to this class, I haven't taught you how to do shading yet. So Don't worry about doing the three-dimensional image today. We don't have time for me to teach you the ins and outs of shading, but I will come around to help as we work. Any questions for those of you who are drawing hands today? All right, so I'm going to ask John to position yourself in the middle. Laura is going to set up the camera for us to be able to see John also on the big screen. We're going to try and focus on the hands. So that's a good idea. And we'll put a piece of white paper under your hands, John, to make it visible.
So you're gonna put a table,
You're going to sit right in front of the tripod, please, John.
oh, okay, and it'll be on the screen.
Right.
And, I also. Got it.
So I have to unpin myself. Folks at home, do you have any questions? There are a couple of things in the chat. Hold on. And I forgot to ask her, are there any thoughts or comments on Louise Bourgeois? Anybody hate her work? Anybody love her work?
Robin, I don't like her work. I don't like anything
Why?
because
Why?
of the subject matter, because it's upsetting, because it's so upsetting. I just don't like looking at it. It's about the oppression of women and the sexual abuse of women, and I don't know. And the spider, I mean, there's nothing compelling me. And it's the first time it's ever happened, in any of the artists that we've ever looked at. So I just, it's just not appealing. It doesn't appeal to something in my spirit or in my soul or in my world, I guess. Curious, but you asked.
I did ask, and I appreciate your comment.
Okay.
So thank you, Robin. Maybe you could do some art about that, expressing your feelings about that. That would be cool. Laura, so for some reason, I'm not able to unpin. It says hide self-view. Should I click on that?
1 second, please.
Okay. So folks, we're working at putting John's hands on the screen. If you can see his hands already, you could begin drawing, or you could try sketching your own hand. I can get that for John. Yes, I got it. See, drawing hands already. Great beginning. Yeah, it's just saying hide self-view. Should I do that? Nope. Should I exit?
Did you stop to share?
I thought I did.
Okay.
don't know. Perfect.
Can you make it bigger?
Yep. Thank you, Laura. All right, so those of you who are here, see the rectangle here. Start with that light pencil sketch. Top of the hand. Rectangle shape here. And then try and see where the knuckles are. And that there's cylinders here between the joints. Very pale lines for starters. It's much easier to get dark as you go than it is to get rid of the dark. Excellent. Notice the shape on the back of the hand. Once you see that, it's much easier to see the shape in the hand. This is where we begin. Heather's cheating. Why is that?
It's amazing here.
It's great. You got my hand. Okay. Yes, there's a whole empty back table here. If you want to. Anyone? I completely understand. Yeah. I can also see this big. Of the name. See, you can see this as a shape. Very good. Very good, Julie. Yes. Now the palm of the hand makes your shape. This excellent. Fantastic. Yes. 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 We're doing good. And you have the proportions well too. Well done. Remember the joints, I and C. That will help you figure out the length of each finger. Okay. See where the knuckles. How are you today? The wrist, first knuckle, this part, this shape.
Well, you chose an artist and when it's recovered in a horrible screech, you say, before. When you've got the basic shape down, start with shade, but remember what I've always said about shade. Start light. It's much easier to get darker as you go. Amelia, I'm going to come show you how to do shading because I've never taught you that any person. So I'm going to give you instruction and shading. Yes, I love having the nose in small. Good. Good. Notice how very dark it gets underneath. Remember, the fingers have bones underneath. They're cylinders. They're, round and solid. So we think our fingers are a lot thinner than they actually are. Even those of you who are pianists and, well, I don't know, archers or basketball players, and you have beautiful long fingers, they're rounded.
Yeah.
Love Conti crayons. Crazy love Conti crayons. Chris, I've never taught you shading. Shading.
Shade. May I show you? Yes, sure. See, you get a piece of. So you might want to watch. I show them, all right, so I like to do shading with the side of the pencil. It's one way to do it. Not the tip. One. So let's pretend I'm doing an apple. And the light is coming from this side onto the apple. That means the apple is going to be darker on this side and brighter on this side. So start with light, shadow. Because the apple is curved, I make it shadow around. This is a tool, it's called a stump. And you can use it for blending. You want to blend shadow so that the object is round. You can also use your finger. Blend. Works with fingers too. You want the fingers to look rounded. You want the shadow to follow the curve of the finger. So if you don't blend, it's going to still look flat. You need to do the blending so there's not harsh edge from dark to light. And usually the outer edge of the object is darker. The outer edge and underneath the object is darker than the side that's being hit by light. Still good, John?
Yeah.
So you can already see the rounded form of an apple taking shape. I haven't even drawn an outline. I'm doing it all with shadow. Darker side. So, one. You can do that around your fingers, so they're going to be darker underneath, also on the sides. Right? Does that help? Yeah. Very good. Especially this one, because you started with this rectangle. Draw the way you want, the way you feel. If you don't like starting with the diagram, it's easier for you to just look at that. Draw it straight from that and do it. Okay. The diagram was a suggestion. Who else needs shape? Well, I taught you shape. Oh. Okay. This is a great drawing. Shading. Sort of thing. The more you do, the easier. Everybody wants to do a shade. On this. pretend I'm joining. And the light is coming this apple is right. You start. The light's moving inside. The lights coming. Yeah. And also underneath. See. That around edges. What do you call the back of it? In the back of the hand, that's darker around the edge. I need John to take a break because this has to be paid. Because remember,
All I need for my son and
no, I will do. Right, John's gotta take a break and wiggle his fingers, yes, see, and this the way you curve the finger. I love your smile. Guys, don't be so quick to want spider. You don't need spider. One of the greatest experiences of my life was to hold a tarantula. It was beautiful.
it is.
Yeah. This one. Here, maybe. On the wrist, to the bottom of the finger. In the air, I think it's one.
Where I live, in Rhode Island, we have a bridge that went from Manville to Cumberland. And the spiders would build their webs on the bridge. And Blackstone River ran under a natural waterfall. We would stand on the bridge and watch the spiders weave their web.
Well, not to mention how beautiful
What was that?
the webs.
But
Excuse me 1 minute, John, I'm so sorry, I want to hear the story, but I just had a brain leak. That's something. When you say, well, I should have that. You make it look more realistic.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that is one of the things. This is from Liz to the bottom. Here's my. I'm looking down. Twist of the arm. Look, you can like this. Well, I think you represent that beautiful. You could get a little darker. And emphasize that. I think that's something that you actually very active. There is a bit more room between fingers, which also indicates that. Okay, sorry, John. Oh. I was gonna ask you here more about spiders. You want it to be more realistic. Stuff with the tracers. Yeah.
She, actually. I'm not cheating.
I was teasing. Remind me never to tease. Never again. Never, never, never.
I agree with you. I'm not gonna call that, see?
For me, there's a that I need to.
Yeah, yeah.
And then something to that. Yeah, you can do something with this picture, because come out of this, it'll be very. So good, I think you could put- was there anybody who liked Louise Bourgeois? Hi, Helen. Yeah.
Yes.
Why? Christine.
It's just so different, and it's actually the raw emotions. It's not trying to be kind of, you're okay.
Okay. Heather, why did you like?
I don't think this is your
well, it's already done there.
You were, no, I want to.
It was in the Guggenheim, there's a huge retrospective years ago. Yes. It's that stuff.
And there's a lot of writing.
Yes, in French,
Thank you.
she does. I love her work. It really speaks to me a lot as a woman, and yeah. There's a lot of power in her work when you see it in person. So if you get a chance to see her work in a museum, please do. Um, So you want to blend for the black. Oh, so I need to combine all the. Have you seen her work ever?
Oh, yeah. She's very. Yeah, it's probably not gonna be home.
It's very deep. But I get Robin's, it's disturbing. Her work is disturbing. Folks at home, you're good. I'm sorry, because I have several new students here today, I feel like I've neglected you.
I'm fine.
Oh, Lily, you're with us today. You love Louise. Awesome. And Alice, you're fine. Great. Margot had a dentist appointment. Too bad. All right. What time is it? I've lost track of time completely. Gosh. So we have about 15, 20 more minutes. Laura.
Okay, free, so they have to register. Okay.
So two announcements. I'm handing around the sign up sheet for the art show. Don't forget, if you want to participate. If you've signed already, you don't have to do it. Just pass it to the next person. But if you have not signed yet, if you're hesitating, please sign up. I'm going to start with you, Aaron. And then second announcement. Oops, sorry. Natalie, who is a librarian here who has helped us in the past when Laura's been on vacation. She's terrific. Oh no, this is not the flyer. What day is the?
So the day of the museum of modern art will be a Saturday. I believe it looks like August 17th. And you can register, if registration is required. It opens up August 1st on our calendar.
Okay. So
There'll be a group of people.
nice.
The library purchase for library.
Wonderful.
Natalie will be there that day. There'll be a group trip to tour the MoMA and enjoy the day together.
Wonderful. So you all heard that, right? Folks at home, you heard that as well. That's a wonderful idea. And she's terrific.
No, we did not hear it at home.
Oh, so I missed the date, but in August, Laura's going to repeat it to me in a minute. Saturday, August 17th, our wonderful librarian Natalie is having a field trip to the Museum of Modern Art. You can register through the museum website. You must register. Registration will be open August 1st.
You actually register through the public library.
Register through the Hoboken Public Library. Registration will be open August 1st, so you go to the library website to register. Natalie will be at the museum to meet you there, and you will get a free pass into the museum to see the show. And all the information is on the calendar. So Saturday, August 17th, field trip to the Museum of Modern Art with Natalie. And free museum passes. Gosh, had I known in advance, we could have done a class trip. Let's talk to Natalie about doing a class trip. Wouldn't that be fun if we all went together? Was that a no from Eileen?
No.
You're fired. Oh. Well, we don't have to go in the summer. Well, then it's not a class trip. Thank you, John, for resuming the same pose. How terrific are you? Just a side note, John is a model at the Art Students League in New York City, so he's very, very experienced. All right. Very nice. I would get darker underneath, even though the lighting is not that dramatic, but it'll make it look really very excellent. Very nice. So you can do something called highlights now, where you can take an eraser. You don't have to put erasers and Helen, welcome. Did you sign up for the art show? So you see that some of his numbers are like two white patches of skin. So now you're into the shades. Some of the dark shadow away. You make what's called the highlight. You could, especially in between. See, look at the photograph for a minute here. You see how it's dark? Everybody listen up and look at the screen for a minute. Do you see how it's darker in between the fingers and then in between his veins and things like that? Anything that sticks out or protrudes, you're going to have darker shadow defining, you see, around the veins, in between the fingers, there's darker shadow around the wrinkles around his knuckles. And that's what helps make it look three-dimensional. So don't be afraid to get dark where you see darkness. Good, Chris. Your style is to draw small. I'm envious. I have to draw big. You like it. Sure. Why? Why do you like them? Oh. Can you do me a favor, though? Shadow. Oh, Helen signs. You can sign up for the art show. That picture I took from you yesterday makes you eligible. Fine. You did sign her? Oh, sorry. Oh, this is nice, darker underneath, okay? Underneath, around the edges, get a little dark. Sweater. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Very good. I'll do the thing. They do not. Are you bringing? Chris, this is Laura. Oh, it is.
Kathy, Heather,
The day that I found it. I was looking at some secret card. Yeah, coming out. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's- that was- Picked it up.
leftovers. You might dismember them. Yeah. So you were in the middle. I was in a pizza.
I need it.
You got a piece of pizza. We got back and. And Louise, you never, Nelson, you knew right away. She was very strange. Yeah.
They have to say.
And the first real where I saw this was not hard. In the most St. Peter's Church. Yeah. Oh my God, that. It is, like, oh, her chapel. Very good.
So many things. So it's something you know. I got it now. Meyer.
I should be a teacher. Great shape for the hand. Awesome. Wonderful. You did good today. Impressive. All right. Do we want to share or do we want to keep working? It is time to share. Raise your hand if you want to share. Share. Something by my computer that I'm allergic to. So every time I come to this area of the room, I start choking up. I got one person interested in sharing. Come on. Folks at home, you want to share? Speak, speak. Robin, yes, you have to re-register for the afternoon class. So you
Okay,
leave this class
We'll
and
have
re-
another link. We'll have another link at 1:15 for that.
yes, you'll have a
Oh.
new link.
Thank you.
Oh, good.
Thanks.
There you are. Show us what you did today.
Well, in terms of something from the childhood, I chose a photo I took of a place where my children and I used to go swimming in Vermont. And it's all the foliage in the fall, and that's as far as I could go with your assignment. So I'm going to whoops. I'm going to be doing this in watercolor and working in the next group.
I like this drawing very much. I like very much how you filled up the whole space. I like the immediacy and the quickness of your line.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
What's behind this are rocks, and striated rocks are, behind the foliage. I have no idea how to do that, but I'm going to try to put that in there somehow, not just do the foliage.
It's going to be a challenge. Differentiate with color. I would do the rocks first.
Oh, okay. Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
And then cover them up with the foliage. And I do them in a wash. If you're doing watercolor, create them with a wash first. You can always go back in and make them darker later on.
Okay.
That
Great.
would be my recommendation.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
All right, Robin's broken the ice. Anyone else at home who wants to share? And John, your modeling time is over.
You're welcome, everybody, and I'll be back this afternoon.
Yes, John will be back at 1, sorry. Sorry, I just got a text from my son, so I had to answer that. Who would like to share? Anyone at home?
I'll go.
Yay. It's Courtney. What have you got for us today?
I don't know how visible this will be because there's a sketch behind it, so I'm kind of having to.
Wow. Wow. Wonderful. And this was a difficult position. Were you drawing your own hand?
I was, yeah.
Very nice. Was it helpful for you at all to divide the fingers into the cylinder sections?
I did not do that. Yeah.
Okay.
I just started drawing what I could see.
Okay. Beautiful observation. Notice the way she made it darker underneath. because that's the way it's going to be in real life. There is no light underneath or less light, so it's got to be darker underneath. Beautiful. Send me a JPEG when you're done, please. Well done. All right. Tip, do not compare your work to other artists. We all have a different style. We're all at different levels. So we share to give each other advice and ideas. No one is, we're all at different times and processes and stages in our development. So it's not useful to compare your work with another artist. It just isn't. All right, anyone else at home want to share? Who else is with us today? Alice? Come on, Alice, you know you want to share.
No, I need more time. It's so much earlier here than it is in Hoboken that,
It is. Can you come to the afternoon class?
well, I have to go visit my husband.
Okay.
But anyway, thanks for
All right,
being
so
with us.
send me a JPEG then, and if you want, and I can offer you advice
Great,
that way.
thanks. Yep.
Thanks, Alice. We're delighted you could join us. Lily, are you still with us? Do you want to? Okay. Absolutely. I'm about to ask anyone here. Come on. Come on up, Helen. All right, so we have to spotlight me. On my laptop, it is. Here we go. Okay, good. Thank you, Laura. Just be careful of the wires, please, Helen. Look at the great color and textures in Helen's. Yay.
It's the first time I did it, and I thought it was not going to come out good.
Came out great. Love the color, Helen. Thank you. And Helen got here late. She missed all the instruction. So bravo. Thanks, Helen. All right. Daniel? Daniel went in two different directions today.
And
It is hands. Like the details very much, and the use of shading underneath makes it really pop. All right. And love, love, love the spiders. Terrific. Yeah. Thank you, Daniel.
Is there a filter on the camera? Or no, it had just gone fuzzy. Okay, never mind.
You okay? So the picture went fuzzy. Here comes Eileen. Eileen, as always, has chosen the most ambitious project of all. Go ahead, tell us about it.
Well, I'd like to show you the original photographs and then what I tried to imitate, right? This is my family. These are my cousins and my aunts. Wait a minute. Oh, no. What did I do?
You just touch the wire. It's okay. We're not in any trouble.
This is these are my cousins. Can you see it? And this is my aunts, the mothers. Okay, so then I tried to draw them. It's hard. You can put it right.
Like I mentioned, you always choose the most challenging projects.
Well, here are the
Great.
Are the cousins. The cousins. And how do I show the top? There's the aunts. I have 6 aunts. I had. They're gone. 6 aunts and 3 uncles.
Bravo. I commend Eileen for her commitment to learning how to draw. Bravo.
That's why I came here in the first place.
Well done. I want to see progress on that. I want to see more work on that. Bring it next week, okay? Or this afternoon if you're coming back. Aaron, do you want to share? Aaron went in a really interesting direction today. Shirley, you're next. So Aaron did a piece in the manner of Louise Bourgeois, very much inspired by her. The hand is holding a spider above a house.
Yes.
Love the color and the composition. And here comes Shirley. Got to come closer. So Shirley, wow, powerful fist. This one goes with the theme we were working on yesterday too. Look at the beautiful use of shading in Shirley's drawing. Well done. Well done. Great proportion work in this too.
Thank you. So
Excellent. Any of the new folks? Chris, do you want to share what you drew? You sure? Amelia? You did great. James, come on up. Oh, Amelia's coming first, James. Amelia wants to share. You did beautifully. Look at nice use of dark and light. She learned how to do highlighting with the white circles. Really well done.
Thank you.
Okay, James, you're next.
Find the model and he had a look like this and he happened to wear a nice hat. And
Yes.
it kind of looked like a Cuban mafia boss. So I kind of like drew like a deal has gone bad. That there's a broken pencil, and he's reaching for the knife on the side. He's like, "Oh, deal has gone bad. No deal."
Very cool.
Oh, I should draw a cigar, right?
You can always add it. Great. I like that your picture has a story, James. Well done. Well done.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Excellent job. Christine, you want to? You sure? Come on. It's beautiful. Look at her terrific shading. Yes. And some of you veteran folks, why aren't you sharing? We've never, ever given negative comments.
first day.
First day. Look how beautiful. Bravo.
Thank you.
Really well done, Christine. And welcome to our class. Anybody else? Oh, we are running out of time. So if you have not cleaned up, please clean up. Just a reminder about this trip to MoMA on August 17th. You have to register through the library website. Also, if you have not signed up for the art show on September 21st, the sign-up sheet is here by tomorrow. And finally, if you want to be in the afternoon class, you must re-register on the library website and rejoin us at 1 p.m. here in the library or through the new link that Laura will send you 15 minutes before class begins. You are welcome. Hope to see many of you back at 1 p.m. It'd be so much fun to see you again. I will go through the same lecture again for folks, new folks, but those of you who have a project you want to continue working on, you may. See you, Aaron. Thanks for